Many of us, Overlanders, four-wheel drivers, we're a bit lazy when it comes to tyres. I am one of those people. We will let our tyres down when going off-road, and then we will be lazy and not really reinflate them immediately once getting back onto the tar road. We will drive a stretch on tar, reach a town, and then pump them up because it's so much easier to do. We're lazy, and I'm one of them, I admit it. But this is not a great idea. And the reason why it isn't a great idea is that these things are damaged so easily when driven too fast at too low a pressure. And I wanted to find out more about how dangerous it really is to drive them when the pressure isn't right.
It's the air within the tyre that carries the load. So as soon as we reduce the air pressure, we're reducing the load carrying capacity of the tyre. So when we come off the gravel road, obviously we've reduced the pressure, A, to give us a more comfortable ride when we're going off-road, and to provide the necessary traction when we need it at the lower pressure. But when we come back onto the tarmac surface, onto the gravel surface, remember now our speed is going to be increasing. So the rotation of the tyre is going to be higher, and the heat buildup in the tyre is going to be far greater. So two things: either we have to increase our pressure back to the recommended manufacturer's pressure as soon as we reach the gravel or the tar, or we have to limit our speed. Now, to what sort of speed do we limit? The speed is very difficult to say because it depends on the vehicle, what was the load of the vehicle to begin with, and what was the pressure. If you've got a heavily laden vehicle, you're going overlanding, and you run 1.2 bar, and you come back onto the tar surface, you should be keeping your speeds to an absolute maximum of 60 kilometers an hour. Because what we want to do is keep the heat buildup in the tyre to an absolute minimum. Because remember, enemy number one of the tyre is heat buildup. And you don't always see the damage straight away. Let's assume you don't inflate your tyres back to the recommended pressure, and you continue running to town and you're doing 80, 90 kilometers an hour. You'll comfortably make it to the town. You then inflate to 2.2, 2.4, which is the recommended pressure, and you proceed and you go home. And you'll make it home safely. Then 2-3 weeks later, or 3,000 kilometers later, you have a catastrophic failure. And you're wondering why. What's happened? You need to go back to the day when you were running at these underinflated pressures, and you were running at speeds of 80, 90, 100 kilometers an hour for a period of time. Because this is where the structural damage has occurred to the tyre. Been running underinflated, you've damaged the casing to a point where it was purely a matter of time before the casing was going to go, even if you then reinflated the tyre to the correct pressure. So we all get a bit lazy, but from a safety perspective, we always strongly recommend that as soon as you get back onto the gravel or tar surface, reinflate your tyres.
Many of us, when we load our vehicle for a trip, we pump up the tyres, we measure the pressure, but we also look at the tyre and its shape, and we make a judgment call according to its shape. Is this a good idea? I'm not so sure.
The shape of the sidewall differs from manufacturer to manufacturer. Some sidewalls are slightly stiffer than others. Some react differently in terms of dropping the pressure. So even if you have the same load at the same pressure, the one tyre would bulge far more on the sidewall than the other one. It's the way the tyre is designed. So purely by looking at the bulge in the sidewall, you cannot say that this tyre is underinflated or overinflated. It just varies from tyre manufacturer to tyre manufacturer.
There is a way of repairing a tubeless tyre while it's still on the rim, even while it's still on the vehicle, and that is the string repair. Question: is a string repair permanent? I know that it's kind of not permanent, but why? They don't come out. The tyre doesn't leak after that. You can leave them in there forever. So why aren't they permanent?
Andrew, a string repair, you know the one we do from the outside? To me, it's purely a temporary repair. You're in the bush, you're stuck, you got a flat tyre, you need to get mobile again. It's impractical to then do what we call the mushroom repair, with the repair from the inside when you're infield. So no problem, let's do the repair from the outside. But then let's get the tire to a dedicated dealer network, an approved dealer network that can do an appropriate repair as quickly as possible. The problem with a string repair is this. If you're going for a repair, obviously your tire has had a puncture, which means it's run underinflated for a period of time. So we are saying that we need to do two things. We need to take the tire off the rim, firstly to inspect whether the penetrating object has caused any further damage to the inside of the tire. Let's assume it's a nail. So obviously you have the hole through the tread where the nail is gone. That's the primary damage. But secondly, the nail might then have scratched or damaged the inner liner of the tire. So the inner liner is effectively the air seal, which prevents the air from escaping. So even if you repaired with a string, all you're doing is repairing the hole, which has been done. You're not repairing the additional damage that was done to the inner liner. So the inner liner itself might still be leaking. You won't see a loss of pressure because the air is not escaping the whole casing. It's just creeping through this inner liner and it's coming into the structure of the tire. And slowly but surely, you'll start seeing a separation between the component parts of the tire, and eventually you'll reach a stage where the centrifugal force being applied to the tire is such that the tire will simply disintegrate. It normally throws its tread, so the whole tread comes off. And this is because we haven't fully repaired the inside of the tire. And we can't see that when we just repair from the outside. Secondly, we need to have a look. When a tire runs underinflated, sort of in the shoulder area of the tire, you'll see a little fold or little crease marks. And this is because the tires run underinflated, and this has caused structural damage to the tire. So even if you then reinflate the tire, the damage is caused already. And just how badly the damage is depends on how quickly the tire will fail. It could fail within 50 kilometers, it could fail 3,000 kilometers later, but the damage is there. So a string repair is okay when in the bush as a temporary measure. Get to a tire dealer, have the tire removed, and have the tire inspected from the inside, because that is where the damage occurs.